Hi, I'm Annie, and this is Fueling Up with Father, where we drive around and we get to know the priests in our diocese. And today I have with me
Father Jordan DeGuire. I'm a chaplain at Aquinas College and a Dominican friar.
It's also your first year as a priest.
I just finished 1 year.
When was your priestly anniversary?
May 20th.
Very exciting.
Yeah, 1 year in the books.
How'd it go? How was the first year?
It was great. It was a lot, but really wonderful. Yeah, so I've moved to Grand Rapids. I grew up in Milwaukee. I went to seminary in St. Louis, but kind of coming to Grand Rapids, it's back in the upper Midwest, which is great, and lots of good stuff going on at Aquinas College.
Yeah, what's been your favorite part of Grand Rapids?
Yeah, I feel like at Aquinas, I have to say the trees.
Yeah.
But just like, it's beautiful. Just kind of being outside. The winter can get a little much, but it's like, especially we're in summer now, it's gorgeous. It's not too hot to be outside. So, I love it.
That's good. Outside of campus, have you found any gems, favorite places?
Ooh, good question. So I'm a runner. And so I live on campus at Aquinas College, but I've gone for runs in the neighborhood. Like, just Reed's Lake is beautiful. Kind of walking down there, running down there, just hanging out around that area.
What's your go-to feel-good movie?
Oh boy, go-to feel-good movie. I don't know. I don't really watch a ton of movies.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, Anchorman might be the movie I've seen most. mostly before I was a Dominican. But that one's always, you know what, actually, so it's not a movie, but I've seen The Office probably 5 or 6 times through.
I'm watching it for the first time
oh
through
boy,
right now.
Oh, it's so good. No, so that was, it showed up on Netflix, right? And growing up, so I'm the oldest of 5.
Okay.
And family, like, often the night would end with watching an episode or 2 of The Office.
So it's got some nostalgia.
So it's got some nostalgia. It's got, like, there's a shared language there with the family where we'll, like, quote lines back and forth to each other. Yeah, so maybe it's not a movie, but I think The Office would be what I go with.
That's fair. Okay, so what are your hobbies? You said you like running.
Yeah.
But you don't watch much TV.
Don't watch much TV.
Okay.
If I am, I'll watch, I love baseball. So I'll watch Go Brewers. I grew up in Milwaukee, I think I said that.
Right.
But, so yeah, I love baseball. I'll watch baseball when I can. But otherwise, reading, board games. So.
What's your go-to board game?
I've played a lot of Ticket to Ride lately.
So good.
As well as Settlers of Catan. Those would be the 2. But also, growing up in the Midwest, euchre and cribbage is card games that you get a lot of those. No, it's nice, right? Because, like, especially those games, they're not just luck. Like, you're not playing war or something where it's just like whatever. Like, you have to think a little bit.
Strategy.
But you don't have to think so much that you can't, like, have a conversation with the people you're playing with as you.
Yes.
So it's a good, like, here's something to do as we socialize.
Have you been to a Whitecaps game yet?
I've been to one Whitecaps game.
Okay.
It was for an Aquinas alumni event. So it was more kind of a working game, if you will. But hoping to, I think I'm actually going to a Tigers game this weekend. The Brewers are in Detroit.
Nice.
So
so you're still going to be
I'm still cheering for the Brewers.
Okay, yeah.
But I love the Blessed Solanus Casey Shrine, so I'll go to that. Yeah, make a day of it.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet, but I've heard really good things.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. And he's someone who has become, like, I heard about him before, but, like, I think in the first year of priesthood, he's someone who became more important to me as an intercessor. But just, like, I went to this shrine and I realized that, like, here was a man who knew that he was loved by Jesus. Yeah. Kind of let that love of Jesus define him, and then tried to share that love with others as a priest. And that really spoke to me.
Yeah.
And so I found myself praying to him more, thinking about him more. And yeah, he's someone I've been close to in this first year of priesthood. Yeah.
When you watch sports, so you're a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
Are you a competitive watcher where you're focused in on the game, don't want distractions, or will you socially watch?
I'll do both.
Okay.
When I was our seminary, our house of studies is in St. Louis. When I was living there, I had a reputation as more of a competitive watcher that, like, I have been known to yell at the TV at times.
Fair.
one of my classmates, Father Greg, is a Cubs fan. He grew up in Texas, but he's a Cubs fan. Mm-hmm. And so the Brewers and Cubs would play each other a lot, right? And especially the past few years have been some good divisional games. Vying for the divisional lead. Mm-hmm. And so I remember there's one game where he has the picture of me like squatting about 5 feet from the TV. It was like extra innings. The Brewers were up. Josh Hader was on the mound trying to hold the lead. Like it was intense.
It was intense. You needed to be there for your team.
I get into it.
Yeah. Did it ever affect your relationship with him, or were you able to move up? Everything was good.
We were always able to work it out.
That's good.
It helped that the Brewers were generally a little bit better. But yeah,
was fine for you.
It's yeah, exactly. And he's far nicer and better of a man than me. So like, he was fine with it.
It was probably good that he was the one
exactly.
losing. You're saying?
God knew what each of us needed.
I'm sure that's interesting too, because you were at the seminary for an order, so you probably had people from all around,
all over the place.
Yeah. So it's not like you all were for one
No, it's
team.
not at all.
It was. So I'm sure that makes it fun too.
It was great when I think my 4th or 5th year in studies, we had 2 more guys from Wisconsin join the province, which tripled the number of guys from Wisconsin. And so all of a sudden there were like other Packers fans in the house, which was great.
Okay, good.
That's if you're from Wisconsin, you know the Green Bay Packers are the civil religion. So everyone goes to church Sunday morning, but then Sunday afternoon you're watching the game.
There you go.
Yeah, we've guys from all over. We have a couple Michigan guys in the province right now, and so the Lions were not so much the Tigers, but definitely the Lions. Right, they've been pretty good the past couple of years. Oh yeah,
they had a major comeback.
Yeah,
that's for sure, because it was rough there for a long time.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
a long
watching
time.
From afar, it seemed hard.
Yeah, it was. It was very hard. I know. It got me more into NFL because I always grew up a college football fan.
Okay, who's your team? Michigan or Michigan State?
Okay, so this actually is interesting. Born and raised Michigan.
Okay.
But I went to St. Mary's College across the street from Notre Dame.
Oh boy.
So now I'm kind of a split person between Notre Dame and Michigan, because Michigan's got the nostalgia.
They converted you.
The family, yes. But it was a tough pill for my father to swallow.
See, it's funny. So I grew up in Wisconsin, but my dad actually went to Michigan.
Okay.
And so I grew up cheering for Michigan.
Okay.
And I was told there were 2 schools I was not allowed to apply to when I was going to college, and it was Ohio State and Notre Dame. Good
thing you didn't choose Holy Cross for your order.
No, that's right. It could have led to some family issues.
I know. The reason why my dad was able to accept it because I wasn't at Notre Dame.
No, exactly.
I was at St. Mary's.
There was still hope.
So he came because I was in Notre Dame's marching band for a year.
Okay.
And he was a supportive father. He's a great man. Came to a couple of the Notre Dame games. Wore all St. Mary's gear.
That's good. Yeah.
With a Notre Dame band hat.
Okay, those distinctions matter. Yeah.
It does.
As a Dominican friar, I'm a fan of fine distinctions.
Yes, exactly. He would say, "Go St. Mary's, go band." Those were his cheers during the game.
So I went to the University of Wisconsin.
Okay.
And my roommate in college, his parents had also gone to Wisconsin in the 70s or 80s. So when the Wisconsin football was not good. Okay. And so they always talked about, we went to games for the band. Yeah. So I feel like your dad can sympathize.
Yes, exactly. Because that was a point we had in common, because he did Michigan's marching band. Okay. All of my siblings did or do Michigan marching band. So that was our common ground.
Yeah, that's like elite. Okay. So I'm a Central Province Dominican, right? But the Eastern Province has the Hillbilly Thomists. I don't know. The
Hillbilly Thomists? No.
So this is a bluegrass band composed entirely of Dominican friars.
What? And everyone give them a listen.
Yeah, so
where
actually
can they
look
find
it up.
them?
They're on Spotify. They're on everything. They tour now. They tour, but yeah, they're great. But it comes from Flannery O'Connor. Was talking. She wrote something about, everyone reads my writings and thinks I'm a hillbilly nihilist, but really I'm a hillbilly Thomist. And they picked that up and ran with it.
Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal.
But so one of the members of the band is Father Thomas Joseph White, who's the rector of the Angelicum, which is one of the universities in Rome. It's the one run by the Dominicans.
Oh yeah.
And so he will talk about because he'll be like playing his banjo in his office, and this is just this like it's meeting all of the American stereotypes for the Italians.
This is exactly what we thought they would be.
I am happy to fulfill this like this image of this quaint farm boy who strums his banjo in his office.
Someone
this is also
to.
like a brilliant theologian.
But his side hobby is the banjo.
But he plays the banjo in a bluegrass band.
That is phenomenal. Have you gone to see them?
I have not seen them live, no.
Oh my gosh, do they tour?
They
or
do.
Is it more?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh wow. We'll have to link to their tour schedule.
They just had a single come out.
Okay.
Very happy to promote other Dominican
We'll copy it.
Yeah,
We'll leave the link in the bio of this video. Give them a little extra love, a shout out.
There you go, Eastern Province. Hillbilly Thomists.
Have you gone, have they sent you anywhere? Did you study outside of the U.S. at all?
So I didn't study. I spent a summer in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
So the Dominicans in Vietnam are thriving. They have about 100 men in formation.
Wow, that's awesome.
In
formation?
In the seminary.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the biggest provinces in the world. But so one of the things, the 3 official languages of the order are English, Spanish, and French. Okay. And so every friar is supposed to be able to communicate in at least one of those languages.
Okay.
And so Vietnam, obviously Vietnamese is not one of these languages, and so they learn English as part of their formation.
Okay.
And so me and a couple other American friars went over for a summer to work on English with the brothers. And
nice.
I mean, so they had some of the basic, like they had it down to some extent, but it was like working on the speaking and the conversation.
Right. I
don't know Vietnamese, so they were forced to use it.
Well, there you go.
So by the end of the summer, I could order in a coffee shop.
Nice.
And I could recognize when people were praying the Hail Mary.
Okay.
But that was about it.
The Hail Mary really stuck out to you.
Yeah, well, I got the first couple of words. King Maria.
There you go.
There you go.
And you're like, okay, got it.
Yeah, I can get that much.
I can take over in English from here.
Yeah, exactly. I know what we're doing now.
What was Vietnam like?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, like, so kind of this really interesting experience of, on the one hand, like, totally foreign, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know Vietnamese. I still don't really know Vietnamese.
Completely different culture.
Totally different culture. Yeah. And, like, even, so we were in Saigon, also known as Ho Chi Minh City. So I was in the city, but, like, we were not in the main, like, the downtown, the touristy area.
Gotcha.
Like, we were out in one of the neighborhoods.
Okay.
And so it was, very Vietnamese.
Okay.
So totally foreign in that way. But also, like, I'm living in a Dominican house. We're still praying the liturgy of the hours together. We're celebrating Mass. We're like we're doing all the things that any Dominican community around the world does.
Right.
And so there was like this basic familiarity as well. So that was it was a really interesting combo to me of like totally foreign and also totally familiar.
Yeah, that is interesting. So you get assigned, right, to come here. How does that happen? Is there kind of, as you get ordained, like, what does that process look like? Yeah,
so Dominicans, what makes us Dominicans, what makes us religious are our vows. And kind of like, right, the classic triad is poverty, chastity, obedience. That triad was actually like, I mean, it was invented by Jesus, but it was like first put together by St. Francis of Assisi, who was a contemporary of St. Dominic.
Gotcha.
So it hadn't been like established yet that like these are the 3 vows religious make. And so Dominicans actually only make 1 vow. We make a vow of obedience. And it's kind of understood that everything else is included in that 1 vow of obedience.
Gotcha.
So we make a 1-year novitiate, and for me that was out in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And then I made temporary vows, and I was assigned to St. Louis. So I made vows for 2 years, and went to St. Louis to study. I renewed my vows for another 2 years, and then I made solemn vows. Okay. And that's the for life commitment.
Gotcha.
So then it was like very funny trying to explain to my family of like, cause like, especially my whole family's Catholic, but like this is all like, it can be like such inside baseball stuff.
Right.
Like, because I had 3 years, I had 3 things of like, I made my solemn vows, which is the lifetime commitment to the Dominicans. Then I was ordained a deacon. Then I was ordained a priest.
Okay.
And I was doing so like my sister got married 2 months after I was ordained a priest.
Okay.
And I was joking with my mother of like, yeah, isn't it so much easier? Like the party for me is so much easier than it is for her. And my mother's, but you had 3 parties.
So she's like, it kind of equals out.
Yeah, exactly. But so our vows are what make us Dominicans. We make our vow of obedience to the master of the order, who's in Rome, through the provincial, who's the head of the province.
Gotcha.
And so it's the provincial who's assigning me wherever I'm sent.
Okay.
And we get, it's very formal. You get a document with like, in view of the needs of the order and of the church, I revoke your former assignation and assign you to the house in Grand Rapids.
Gotcha.
And so Dominicans were known as a more democratic order.
Okay.
We elect our superiors for kind of set terms. And then they'll return to being one of the brothers. So we elect all our superiors. Like we have this very kind of fraternal dimension. And so our assignments are, we like to say you always have your say, but you might not get your way.
Gotcha.
And so you're a part of the conversation, but ultimately it's that provincial who's the one making the decision.
Okay.
So like when I was assigned to Grand Rapids, when I was assigned to Aquinas College, it wasn't a surprise. Like I knew that was probably what it was going to be. Okay. But then you finally get the document of like, now formally you are assigned.
This is it.
This is where you will be.
Okay. So you taught a class this past semester at Aquinas, and you're teaching the same one next semester? Yeah. Is it just the one?
Yeah, so just the one class. Theology 100 is our kind of introduction to Catholicism.
Okay.
So kind of just trying to cover the basics. And especially for students who may have grown up Catholic or maybe even just Christian or maybe not with any faith, but are going to Aquinas or going to a Catholic school. Kind of what is this all about? What is Catholicism? And so like Father Bob and I are both teaching theology classes, and we've talked about like, because of that, pretty much every class ends up having this component of like, what is Catholicism, what is salvation history, who is Jesus Christ,
right?
Because the rest of it doesn't really make sense
until you have that.
Like, so because like Father Bob will do Catholic social teaching, is another popular theology class.
Nice.
And again, like these things don't really make sense if you're not thinking like, who is Jesus Christ? What is the church? Why does the church care about these things?
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of revamping how I do it. So last time I did it kind of following the 4 sections of the catechism. This time I was like revising the class and realized that I was basically following the outline of St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa. Which like as a Dominican is like perhaps shouldn't be so surprised that just kind of popped out.
that is what ended up happening.
Turns out formation works.
There's a method to it.
I've been like thoroughly made a Thomist. But yeah, we talk about with the Dominicans, we're the order of preachers, but kind of pulpit preaching is just a small part of that, in a sense. When St. Dominic founded the order, he called it first the holy preaching, that like the order as a community of brothers and as a way of life was a preaching in and of itself. And so kind of we'll talk about amongst ourselves that like we in our communities strive to live the gospel as brothers so that we can go forth and preach that gospel by our words, but also by the way we live.
The actions, And
then kind of before we ever open our mouths, we're already, in a sense, preaching by the way we live individually, right? But also, like, as a community. And so, I mean, that's been a real, I think, gift. And part of what drew me to the order was seeing men of, different generations. When I lived in St. Louis, I think the youngest in the house was 22 and the oldest was in his 80s. And we're brothers living together in community. And there's something really special about getting to live that kind of intergenerational life.
That is interesting.
It's not always easy, but it's like that's part of G.K. Chesterton said anything worth doing is worth doing badly. And so like we're figuring it out together. Good words of wisdom. But I think there's also something powerful about that witness too, of men from different generations, different stages of life, different places. Like we come from all different places, different backgrounds, all brought together by the gospel.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's something to that.
Thank you so much for coming with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, come visit Father Jordan. Come say hi. Come to his masses, or come to Aquinas and take his class. So wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Father.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.